This is Real News Media TV, coverage you can trust. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates. Construction worker held with 2 firearms. A construction worker from Kingston was arrested on Sunday after 2 firearms were discovered in his waistband. Reports are that about 5:30 p.m., a team was on patrol in the Akiwa community of St. Andrew when they observed a man identified as Nicholas Young Monroe running into a yard. The team reportedly chased Monroe and accosted him. The police said he was told to put up his hands, and when he complied, a silver firearm fell from his waistband. He was searched, and a black Taurus 9mm pistol was also recovered from the front of his waistband. The police said the firearms were a silver Beretta 9mm pistol serial with a magazine loaded with 14 live mm cartridges and 1 live 9mm round in the breech, and a black Taurus 9mm pistol serial with a magazine loaded with 16 live 9mm cartridges and 1 live round in the breech. 3 wards of the state escaped from Metcalfe Street Secure Juvenile Remand Center. The Department of Correctional Services is reporting that 3 wards of the state this morning absconded the Metcalfe Street Secure Juvenile Remand Center. According to the DCS, the breach was discovered by a correctional officer during a regular check at the isolation section of the institution. It was revealed that the ventilation area made of concrete was destroyed, DCS said in a statement. The DCS said it has notified the Jamaica Constabulary Force, and an investigation has been launched into locating the missing wards and the circumstances surrounding their escape. 80 wards are housed at the Metcalfe Street Secure Juvenile Remand Center in Kingston. Political commentators urge Prime Minister to reshuffle cabinet. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is being advised to shake up his cabinet, with National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang and the Transport and the Mining Minister Robert Montague as the first suggestions for the chopping block. Political commentator Lloyd B. Smith notes that Holness has a large majority in the House of Representatives and needs not feel pressured to have persons in the cabinet out. According to Smith, the Prime Minister now needs a leaner and a younger cabinet. The political commentator has also strongly advised Holness to make his move by January ahead of the February due date for local government elections. He names Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark, and the Culture and Entertainment Minister Olivia Grange as keepers as it relates to the cabinet. He also said several others should be replaced. And another political commentator, Helen Davis White, believes a cabinet reshuffle might be imminent. Mrs. Davis White told the news that Jamaicans are becoming disillusioned with the current administration, and the freshening up of the cabinet could provide the government with an opportunity to regain the public trust. She also notes that there appears to be support within the governing party for a reshuffle. Statements collected in case involving acting PS in Education Ministry. The news has been informed that a number of statements have been collected as part of the probe in the case involving acting permanent secretary in the Education Ministry Dr. Grace McLean and the Joint Committee for Tertiary Education. Highly placed sources told the news that the Financial Investigation Division and the MOCA have interviewed several individuals. The Auditor General's report, tabled on October 12, called for the police or an anti-corruption agency to conduct a probe following the transfer of $124 million by the Education Ministry to the Joint Committee for Tertiary Education under questionable circumstances. The Auditor General said the ministry had not been able to account for the use of the money. Amid the controversy, Dr. McLean went on leave. Rehab work underway at a Mount Salem school. Managing Director of the Jamaica Social Investment Fund, Omar Sweeney, says that rehabilitation work on the Mount Salem Primary and Infant School in St. James is well underway. The rehabilitation work at the school is in the region of $300 million and is being funded by the Caribbean Development Bank. work is being done on one of the main buildings of the institution, which was condemned in 2019 due to the deterioration of its upper flooring. We started that work in November, so it's still early days. The contractor might be about 10 or 15% complete. We had completed the procurement for the new equipment for the school, so we have that in storage, and we are waiting on the contractor now to complete the work to rehabilitate the structure. We are now retrofitting the structure and strengthening it to meet the current building codes, and then we will be able to put new equipment in there, and then the school should return to its full functional capability, Sweeney said. He noted that, fortunately, damage to the structure was not as severe and did not require full demolition of the building. When we did our engineering investigation on it, our structural engineer pointed out that the foundation and some of the structural components were sound, and so what we are doing is a very surgical improvement of the structure, and then all should be well, he said. The rehabilitation forms a part of the build phase of the Zone of Special Operations, which was in place in the Mount Salem community periodically since September 2017. Rehabilitation of the Mount Salem Police Station, which was completed earlier this year, also formed a part of the build phase of the Zozo. Cop killer caught with a gun hidden in crotch loses appeal. A convicted cop killer who was allegedly nabbed by the police while hiding in a truck with the same gun used in the shooting tucked in his crotch, along with rounds of ammunition, lost his appeal against his conviction and a life sentence for that 2012 murder last week. The man, Anthony Brown, was in 2018 convicted by a judge and a jury on an indictment charging him with 2 counts of illegal possession of firearm, 1 count of illegal possession of ammunition, and 1 count of murder, and ordered to serve 29 years before he becomes eligible for parole. According to the facts of the case unveiled during the trial, Detective Corporal Ransford Durant was shot and killed on the morning of December 17, 2012, shortly after he entered a shop in Windsor Heights, St. Anne. On the morning of the shooting, 1 spent 9mm cartridge casing was recovered from the shop by personnel from the Constabulary's Technical Services Division, Scenes of Crime. This spent casing was parceled, labeled, and taken to the Institute of Forensic Science and Legal Medicine for ballistics testing. His killer or killers remained at large until January 3, 2013, about 12 a.m., when detectives from the Spanish Town Criminal Investigation Branch, acting on information, went to the vicinity of the Angels Plaza and signaled a motor truck to stop. The rear of the truck, which was laden with goods and partially covered by a tarpaulin, was searched, and Brown and another man, his co-accused, were found. They were ordered from the truck, and the search of Brown revealed a firearm with a magazine containing 5 rounds of ammunition hidden in the region of his groin. These items were submitted for ballistics testing. An expert attached to the IFSLM testified during the trial that there was a ballistics match between the firearm recovered from the appellant and the spent casing recovered from the shop in Windsor Heights. An eyewitness who testified during the trial also placed Brown at the scene of the crime on the day. Brown, during the trial, disputed the police's account that he had been found with a gun in his possession. The defense, in appealing the 2018 ruling, argued, among other things, that the prosecution witness had identified the wrong person. The Crown had failed to present any concrete evidence to link the defendant to the crime, and that the sentence was manifestly excessive. Further, the defense said the trial judge had failed to give adequate instruction to the jury regarding what it said was the inconsistent and contradictory testimonies from Crown witnesses, and that Brown was wrongfully convicted for a crime that he knew nothing about and could not have committed. In the judgment handed down last week, the appeal court said our perusal of the transcript revealed that the learned judge not only gave adequate directions on the inconsistencies, but also pointed out several for the jury's consideration. In the meantime, the court said, in light of the circumstances and bearing in mind principles in case law, in reviewing the sentence imposed by the judge, it would reduce the starting point from 35 years to 33 years. According to the court, the judge in this case chose 35 years as a starting point, which is within the normal range of periods of sentences ordered to be served before parole eligibility for murder. The judge then deducted the time spent by the appellant in custody awaiting trial, but did not demonstrate that he had considered the mitigating and aggravating factors relevant to Brown. In carrying out that exercise, the court, in noticing the aggravating factors, would be that Brown had 4 previous convictions and that he committed these offenses after escaping custody, said it would increase the period to be served before parole eligibility to 39 years. For the mitigating factors, we would subtract 4 years, making the period 35 years. This would be further reduced by the time spent in custody, which was almost 6 years. The appellant would therefore have to serve 29 years. In light of the above, we are of the view that the stipulation that the appellant should serve 29 years before being eligible for parole is manifestly excessive, it stated. Pointing out that the sentences imposed on the other counts were not challenged, the appeal court, in noting that it unhesitantly endorsed that position, ordered the appeal against the conviction and the sentence dismissed. The convictions and the sentences affirmed, and the sentences are reckoned to have commenced on November 16, 2018. A December 2012 report in the news said that the off-duty detective corporal, who was assigned to the St. James Division but lived in St. Anne, was reportedly taking groceries to the home where his child lived when he was ambushed just meters away from the dwelling. He was not armed. "They bagged them all down upon the ground," said one of the residents who gathered on the scene at the time. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Select all for daily news updates.